In the waters of the North Atlantic, a daring voyage commenced on the eve of June 18, 2023. Titan, a submersible, took to the sea off the rugged coast of Newfoundland, Canada. Bearing a crew of 5 adventurous souls, they journeyed beneath the waves to glimpse the haunting remains of the shipwrecked Titanic. Yet, their radio signal faded to silence no sooner than their expedition began. Submerged and isolated, the tourists found themselves trapped in a chilling nightmare.
We run the whole thing with this game controller.
Come on!
We're losing time and we're losing opportunity to find them alive.
5 spirited individuals stepped into the belly of the Titan submersible, their eyes reflecting the same spark of audacious curiosity. At the helm stood 61-year-old Stockton Rush, a maverick pilot whose day job was being the founder and CEO of Oceangate Expeditions. The firm orchestrated the daring voyage to the ghostly remnants of the Titanic. The silver-haired Stockton was no ordinary engineer, with his roots in the aerospace industry, a well-known passion for the uncharted depths of the sea, and inventive submersibles. His brainchild Oceangate came into existence in 2009, but it was not until 2021 that it began offering Titanic expeditions to thrill-seeking patrons. The company had mustered nearly $37 million in fundraising, including a new investment of $18 million to launch the Titanic expeditions. Never one to be daunted by risks, Stockton's adventurous spirit was highlighted in a 2022 interview where he said, "If you just want to be safe, don't do anything. At some point, you have to take some risk." He even questioned the convention of safety in itself, terming it a pure waste. It wasn't an overstatement when a 2009 Smithsonian Magazine piece called Stockton a daredevil inventor. The same article quoted him criticizing the U.S. Passenger Vessel Safety Act of 1993 for stifling commercial innovation by overemphasizing passenger safety. Riding in the Titan alongside Stockton was Hamish Harding, a 58-year-old British billionaire with an insatiable thirst for extreme adventures. He was a globetrotter who journeyed to the South Pole with Buzz Aldrin, held 3 Guinness World Records, including a 4-hour drive to the Mariana Trench's abyss, and joined the 6-strong crew of Blue Origin's suborbital flight. Harding was a force of nature, an aviation enthusiast, skydiver, and a 2022 inductee into the Living Legends of Aviation. Harding was a brother-in-arms to fellow awardees like space moguls Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Richard Branson, and A-listers Tom Cruise and Harrison Ford. The third occupant was a vulnerable 77-year-old Paul-Henri Nargeolet, a former French Navy commander and an expert in deep-sea exploration. With 35 dives to the Titanic wreck, Nargeolet was an authority on the infamous shipwreck and the director of underwater research at RMS Titanic Incorporated, the firm with salvage rights to the Titanic. He was part of the team that located the vanished Air Force Flight 447 over the Atlantic. Joining this illustrious crew was Shahzada Dawood, a 48-year-old Pakistani-British entrepreneur, philanthropist, and his teenage son, Suleman Dawood, who led the colossal Engro Corporation back home, and also sat on the board for his family's foundation and the SETI Institute, famed for its search for extraterrestrial life. These 5 passengers aboard the Titan shared a profound connection, a deep-sea interest and significant achievements in air, space, and sea exploration, coupled with the financial wherewithal to chase these passions. Oceangate's Titanic expeditions came with a hefty price tag of up to $250,000 per person, but the firm's mission was more than just catering to deep-sea tourism. They aspired to advance research on the wreck and its surrounding debris, unveiling the mysteries shrouding the deep sea. The Titanic wreck site is perilous and unpredictable, expressed Dick Barton. Dick Barton was the first British man to dive the Titanic and went on to make 22 dives to the wreck. In his conversation with Good Morning Britain, he spoke of the consistent ebb and flow of water currents and the amount of power it takes to stay on track. When you're very deep in the ocean, power conservation is critical. Your power is your lifeline and your guide. The situation down there becomes critical if a calamity forces the crew to vacate the pod on the sea floor. Simon Boxall, a renowned oceanography expert, painted a grim picture. The pressure at 3,800 meters beneath the surface is extraordinary. It's a death trap. Escape attempts at depth would last a mere fraction of a second. As a result, if there is an issue at that depth, rescuing the submersible and its occupants necessitates rising the vessel back to the surface. Operating in international waters, the Titan was free from any safety regulations, carrying no seaworthiness certification from any authority. David Pogue, a reporter who undertook the expedition in 2022, revealed that the Titan passenger must sign a waiver. It acknowledges that they're stepping into an experimental vessel without any approval or certification by any regulatory body, with potential risk of physical harm, disability, emotional distress, or even death. Mike Reese, a TV producer and another expedition participant, noted the ominous repetition of death 3 times on the first page of the waiver. The Titan has made 3 expeditions to the Titanic wreck site, the first of which was July 2021. In 2022, David Pogue was on board when the ship happened to lose communication during a dive. Pogue's December 2022 report questioned Titan sub's safety. In the report, Pogue commented to Stockton that it seemed like the submersible had some elements of MacGyver jerry-riggedness. Stockton's avant-garde mind created Titan's controls using a video game controller that tricked many people and didn't know if it was a serious thing or a joke within the submersible. Pogue stated that he noticed the Logitech Bluetooth game controller was used to steer and pitch the submersible, and construction pipes were used as a ballast. Also, on that dive, one of the thrusters to the Titan was accidentally installed backward, and the submersible started spinning in circles when trying to move forward near the seafloor. As a BBC documentary, Take Me to the Titanic, reported, the issue was bypassed by a steering wheel holding the game controller sideways. The Titan, a petite teardrop-shaped submersible, lacked the prowess of a naval submarine. At 22 feet long, it had room for 5 in its interior, resembled a minivan size, devoid of seats but featuring a tiny toilet and a singular pothole window. Its scale and design made it unsuitable for prolonged underwater stays or unassisted port arrivals, requiring constant vessel support. During an experience on the Titan, passengers were handed sandwiches and water for a 10-hour-long journey, which allotted to merely 20 minutes to witness the Titanic wreckage. Curiously, one of the passengers noted that the compass behaved erratically throughout the entire voyage. The Titan's deep-sea pursuits ruled out the use of GPS, relying instead on a text messaging system to communicate with the Polar Prince, which is the mothership that deploys the sub. The stark reality of life support on the Titan was its limited oxygen reserves, just 96 hours. So when this submersible goes missing in the ocean, a life support countdown begins. If there was some sort of emergency inside the sub and the crew needed to get out, there was no way they could. It was sealed from the outside with 17 different bolts, requiring external assistance for opening. Operating from Washington, Oceangate Expeditions was a private entity specializing in charting deep-sea explorations for commercial and scientific endeavors. It had spearheaded over a dozen underwater expeditions to places like the Andrea Doria shipwreck near Nantucket. Its fleet comprised of 3 5-person submersibles, Antipodes, Cyclops 1, and Titan. Antipodes and Cyclops 1 were designed for diving up to 1,000 and 1,600 feet, respectively. The Titan, however, was built for depth, with a specified limit of 13,100 feet or 4,000 meters, just skimming the resting place of the Titanic at 12,500 feet, a fact that raised a few eyebrows. Oceangate's website credited the design and engineering of the Titan to a collaboration between Oceangate Incorporated and experts from Boeing and other entities. However, Boeing negated these claims, stating that neither partnered on the Titan nor had its hand in design or construction. Similarly, despite assertions by Oceangate and its CEO, Stockton Rush, of a partnership with NASA, complete with NASA's logo on promotional material, the space agency clarified that its involvement was restricted to remote consultations and had no part in Titan's manufacture or testing. Concerns regarding safety of Oceangate's submersible Titan started swirling as early as 2018, several years prior to its inaugural deep-sea journey to the Titanic wreckage. Following an international industry group conference, William Conan penned a letter in March 2018 to Stockton Rush. The letter underscored the unanimous concern of the members about Titan's development and its proposed Titanic expeditions. He emphasized the worry that Oceangate's experimental approach potentially leading to outcomes ranging from minor to catastrophic, which could significantly impact the entire industry of deep-sea submersibles. William explained that the industry's primary concern was Oceangate's lack of oversight and disregard for established safety standards. Oceangate's solitary approach to the project, devoid of formal oversight, was a cause for concern among many. The industry was generally guided by a well-structured framework of certification and verification was alarmed by Oceangate's ambitions. Agencies like the American Bureau of Shipping and DNV in Europe typically oversee structures such as ships, oil platforms, and submarines for specific adherence. This includes drafting rules, reviewing designs, and overseeing testing. Oceangate acknowledged in a 2019 blog post that the major marine operators typically require vessels to be classed by one of these independent entities. However, it was contended that these processes mainly evaluated physical vessels, not a company's operational procedures or decision-making processes, which are often accident culprits. William noted that he had a conversation with Stockton where they agreed to disagree. He also highlighted that the challenge of regulatory bodies lagging behind new innovations was not exclusive to submarines. This dance of pushing regulations forward in the face of rapidly evolving technology was a common industry challenge. David Lockridge, Oceangate's former director of marine operations and an experienced submarine pilot, claimed in a 2018 lawsuit that he was fired after voicing safety concerns about Titan, especially the inadequate testing of its carbon fiber hull. Lockridge advocated for engaging a classification agency for inspection and certification, which he claimed was ignored by Oceangate management. His attempt to address these issues and a report led to his dismissal. Oceangate's counterargument cited reliance on acoustic tests better suited to detect safety issues and accused Lockridge of contract violation. They claimed Lockridge was not an engineer and disregarded assurances from the lead engineer about sufficient testing. The case was settled out of court in 2018. In the early hours of June 19, 2023, at 4 a.m. Eastern Time, the deep-sea submersible was primed to begin its descent towards the historical remnants of the Titanic. The planned launch faced minor setbacks, pushing the actual dive to a later start. Once resolved, the team embarked on their extraordinary journey with high spirits and hearts aflame with the thrill of adventure. By 8 a.m. Eastern Time, the submersible initiated its estimated 2-hour descent towards the site. A wave of anticipation washed over the crew, their hearts pulsating with the exhilaration of the imminent deep-sea exploration. But as they ventured deeper into the ocean abyss, a chilling dread crept in. The vast, crushing ocean depths seemed to encroach upon them, threatening to entomb them within the metallic confines of the submersible. At 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time, a deafening silence replaced their earlier communication between the submersible and the surface vessel. An hour and 45 minutes into their descent, contact with the outside world was abruptly severed. The exciting expedition had taken a nightmarish turn. The northeast sector of the United States Coast Guard, based in Boston, commenced rescue operations 900 nautical miles off the shore of Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Responding to an assistance request made on June 18th at 9:43 p.m. by Joint Rescue Coordination Center, Halifax. They announced the participation of the Royal Canadian Air Force in the search. The mission involved 3 C-130 Hercules aircraft, 2 from the United States and 1 from Canada, a Poseidon aircraft from the United States, and sonar buoys. However, the low visibility weather conditions posed a significant challenge to the rescue efforts, only to clear the following day. As each moment passed, the urgency heightened in this dramatic race against time in the vast expanse of the ocean. The operation to rescue the Titan submersible, lost in the deep sea near the site of the Titanic wreck, had posed many challenges for the United States Coast Guard. From the remoteness of the location to the inclement weather, darkness, rough sea conditions, and frigid water temperatures, the mission had tested the limits of their expertise and resources. Admiral John Mauger emphasized the commitment to the task at hand, stating that all available assets were being deployed. In typical scenarios, submersibles are outfitted with acoustic beacons that emit underwater sounds, aiding rescuers in detection. The Titan's possession of such a device remains uncertain, adding a layer of complexity to the mission. Unfortunately, neither the U.S. Coast Guard or Canada possesses underwater vessels capable of effectively aiding search and rescue efforts. While the U.S. Navy has a deep submergence rescue vehicle, it cannot reach the depths potentially harboring the Titan. The Navy does have remotely operated vehicles, but swift transportation of these vessels to the site proved extremely challenging. On June 20th, the pipelaying ship Deep Energy, operated by Technip FMC, arrived at the site. Its cargo included 2 remotely operated vehicles and other equipment designed to navigate extreme seabed depths in the area. By 10:45 a.m., the U.S. Coast Guard had scoured 10,000 square miles of sea. In a promising development, an internal government memo reported that a Canadian CP-140 Aurora sensor detected underwater noises while searching for the submersible. Official acknowledgement of these sounds came from the U.S. Coast Guard the next morning, although early investigations had not yielded concrete results. Admiral Mauger noted that these noises' source was unknown and could have originated from the many metal objects at the wreck site. A Canadian CP-140 plane had previously spotted a white rectangular object floating on the surface. However, the ship dispatched to identify this object was redirected to trace the origin of the mysterious underwater noises. On June 22nd, a Canadian-flagged offshore tugboat, the MV Horizon, deployed in Odysseus 6K remote-controlled vehicle, which was able to reach the seafloor and commenced its search for the missing submersible. Concurrently, the French also deployed a remote-controlled vehicle, the Victor 6000, capable of reaching up to 6,000 meters and was able to transmit images back to the surface. Later that day, the U.S. Coast Guard Northeast Sector revealed a grim discovery made by the Horizon Arctic's remotely operated vehicle. A debris field near the Titanic wreck contained pieces of the submersible, confirmed to be part of the Titan. Subsequent reports confirmed the submersible's loss due to the pressure chamber exploding. The debris from the Titan was found on the seafloor approximately 488 meters, 1,600 feet from the Titanic's bow. Admiral Mauger expressed uncertainty regarding the likelihood of recovering the bodies of the 5 men aboard the submersible. Following this tragic news, Oceangate issued a statement addressing the loss of life. The recovered debris included the nose cone and the front and aft end bell, part of the pressure vessel. The bodies of the 5 crew members may never be recovered from the inhospitable depths, a devastating prospect confirmed by the U.S. Coast Guard. The broken pieces of the vessel were located about 500 meters from the ship's bow they sought to explore. The crew likely died on June 18, 2023, before military planes detected potential SOS signals using sonar buoys. The implosion would have generated a significant broadband sound that the sonar buoys would have picked up. Admiral Mauger believes that the crew died instantly. The impact on the victims' families has been profound. Experts have warned that the chance of recovering any remains is low. This is an incredibly unforgiving environment down there, said Paul-Henri, a deep-sea expert involved in the search. That's all I have for you today, and I appreciate you watching until the end. If you found this story both fascinating and heartbreaking, please be sure to show some love to the like button and subscribe to our channel for more stories like this. See you at the next one.